Hey everybody, this is Ostuni. I know I haven't done a formal video in a while and everything like that. I'm kind of in the last video you guys may have known that I was going through some stuff. Not really gonna. You guys will probably never hear about what that was, and to be honest, a lot of you probably don't really care too much. People that are close to me and everything like that know, and that's really what matters. But I wanted to try and do something a little different to get me back into the spirit of recording things and everything like that. Shower thoughts. Because I had one while I was taking a shower today. And since all this, as the Game Grumps refer to it as the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, business has been going, I have actually been watching with my roommate. That's right, out of my usual abode, and now I'm living with somebody, which I should be able to record more often, but it's just stuff has been happening. I was in a better place, now I'm in a bad place. Well, not bad place, just confusing. But yeah, I should be able to record more. But this is something that me and my roommate did. We actually started watching, like a lot of you probably did. We started watching on Netflix the Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it really got me thinking because, like, I really started to get into like the lore and everything like that, and all the characters and how like they were just as interesting as the central characters and everything like that. And my thought was, and I know that this has probably been covered a pretty good bit, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it. What would it take to get a good game based on that series? And I think it comes down to a lot of things. There are a lot of ways that somebody could actually approach this. And it would be interesting to see if like Platinum Games would actually get behind making a new game, because I know they made Legend of Korra. They may have made the original Avatar games too. I'm not quite sure. But there's a way that you could actually make a really good like game based on the Avatar universe and everything like that. Like one thing that I kind of mentioned to my friend is that I know that Avatar games exist. I know Last Airbender game exists. I know that there are 2 Legend of Korra games, but they all have one thing in common, and it's very much in common with most licensed IP games and everything like that. They all have to do with the actual story, and you are playing as the actual character. Some of you guys may actually already know know where I'm going with this. Some of you guys may be rolling your eyes knowing so many people have talked about this, but I'm going to talk about it because this is my video, goddammit. There are actually 2 thoughts of how you could actually make a game in the universe of the Avatar and actually make it interesting. And both of them have one thing in common. You are your own character. Now, when I say that, there are actually 2 ways of going about this, and there are pros and cons to each one. And I'm going to start off with the most obvious one. Option number 1. You are the new Avatar. Pretty simple, right? The idea would be that you would very much like akin to, and I love this system, and I haven't seen too many other games do this, but akin to Dragon Age Origins, you can actually pick a backstory that you would play for a little bit before being actually dragged into the main game. And then you would experience very particular things differently within the game, but the core of the story would remain the same. So in this setting, you would basically be able to pick a nation that you would be from, or you could be from a new air temple, because I would assume that we would be going past the Legend of Korra timeline, probably, if we were to do this, because if we were to go before The Last Airbender, um, well, we could actually do it two ways. That's another option. We could do it before The Last Airbender timeline, or we could do it after The Legend of Korra. Either one of those two would have references and possibilities of actually, encountering characters that you may actually want to know about. But in particular, as I was saying, with the whole scenario of being the Avatar, you would basically be able to pick your very own, your starting area, so to speak. You could be from the Fire Nation, you could be from the Water Nation, Earth Nation, or you could be, like I said, a air nomad. And you would play through a unique little snippet of story, depending on which one you picked. And eventually, the White Lotus may approach you and say, "We have determined that you are the Avatar." And then from there, you would go on fulfilling your duties as Avatar, and you would master each one of the 4 elements. Another thing that I would say about that is they could make this very much akin to Dragon Age and everything like that, because a lot of things about the Avatar were just character relationships and everything like that. So you have to have the option for the character to get very invested into various characters and everything like that, form relationships with them. In akin to any BioWare RPG, I would say. BioWare sets the standard for me as far as like relationships. I know that there may have been games that have come out since then that may have raised the bar. I haven't played them, so that's where I'm setting my bar as far as relationships go. Garrus, Vicarian, and Tali, those are my favorites. But that would pretty much be it. But here's the con about that, though. The con about that is that as far as a personality, I don't know how far you could deviate from a good, just a good person if you were the Avatar. Because the Avatar is supposed to naturally be a force of good or a force of balance. So hypothetically, you could play around a little bit with that. But at the same time, I just feel that it would be a little bit more limited to how you could morally approach certain situations and everything like that. But it's an option, and eventually you would have like a shit ton of actual abilities and everything like that, which to that point could be a pro and it could be a con, because the pro of it would be like you could create any type of character that you really wanted to at a certain point. But the con would be is that eventually like abilities would get redundant, I feel. But I don't know. That's just one option as far as like how you could do that. There is another option, though. It is a little bit more freeform, a little bit more... you could play with morality a lot more with this option. And the option would be you are a bender. You are simply a bender from one of the nations, one of the 4 nations. Or you're just one of 4 different types of benders. Water, fire, earth, or wind, and you are recruited to the White Lotus. Now, that could open up more timeline actual variants and everything like that. You could be a White Lotus agent that is just in the era of The Last Airbender. You could just, be a random person, and eventually, maybe you meet up with Avatar Aang and all his friends every now and again. You don't want to make this about, them specifically. You want this to be about your character. You want to develop a attachment to the character and other characters that you, as a player, meet. But having them cameo and stuff like that wouldn't be a bad thing. Same thing if you wanted to put this in the Legend of Korra timeline. You could have her and her friends appear, but just don't make it like, oh, by the way, Avatar over there. The the origin story could be about the same depending on which timeline. You just play through a little origin story. The White Lotus come, they want to recruit you because of your skills. And then from there, you wouldn't have as many skills as, say, the Avatar for obvious reasons, but especially in the Legend of Korra, there are subsets of bending that have to do with the core 4 different bending styles. Like earthbenders can have metal bending. Fire can eventually produce lightning. Water can have blood bending, and like earth or air bending could have something else, or it could just be airbending would be a little interesting to try and get people interested in that. Or what they could do hypothetically is they could just not make airbending a thing, because I mean, think about it, the air nomads were wiped out. There's only so many airbenders. It would really depend on, like I said, the time that they would base the game in. Like, if they decided to do it after the Legend of Korra timeline, there is a chance that, you could logically say, like, oh, the airbenders expanded, and now they're just about as prevalent as they were before Avatar Aang. But if you did it before that, of course, it would make sense for you not to have the ability to be an airbender, which may or may not be such a bad thing. I mean, like I said, the other bending styles actually have a known, to my knowledge at least, a known sub kind of class, but airbending just doesn't. It's just airbending, and that's how they learned and everything like that. But I think either one of these approaches could be pretty good. The allure of being the Avatar would be definitely the selling point for that version of the game. I think the other version where you could be just a White Lotus agent could still be really good. It's just you would definitely have to emphasize just how much the game would have like exploration and everything like that in mind, because at that point the selling point would be the world and its characters. The selling point of the Avatar one would be you are the Avatar. And then also, cherry on top, is all the world exploration. As far as like the core of the game, in either option, I would say something along the lines of like I said, a Dragon Age game, a newer one, because very action oriented style, but still lots of ability to customize and make your character your own. A gear system, though, I don't know if that would even really be a thing, because I mean, like, you have people in the series who have worn armor and everything like that, but I don't know. It just seems like it would kind of be unnecessary. There are different ways of leveling up your character besides gear. It would be interesting to see if gear would even play a role of any kind. But yeah, I mean, before I ramble too much, I guess that's where we'll kind of cut this one. That's just my thoughts on how I think a Avatar game could work for this generation, and especially the reason I bring this up is because of the fact that Avatar: The Last Airbender is on Netflix, and it's probably being watched a lot. Like a lot of people like that series. And the more that people watch it, the more that, Nickelodeon and everybody may go, oh shit, like a lot of people are really watching this again. Maybe we should do something with it or something like that. And I'm pretty sure, I'm no rocket surgeon or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure that Nickelodeon ain't got a whole lot going on right now and they could use some cash. And this would definitely be a way to do it. But anyway, that's going to be it for me. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know if it's going to be gameplay next. To be honest, I don't know if I'm going to put out my old stuff that I've had backlogged. I'm just playing this by ear for right now, and yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys when I see you. This is Ostuni, signing off. Grrr!